This is Wes. My summoner name is Trent78. I am actually making this video because it's a tutorial, really, to be honest, not even necessarily really about League of Legends per se, but it's something that I learned a long time ago. And just so you guys know, a little bit of history about me. I am a terrible League of Legends player, and I know it. The thing is that I know that I'm bad, and I know that I can become better. And that's a big part of learning and being able to decide and realize that you can, in fact, be better than what you are. And knowing the steps is vital to being able to actually pull it off. So, my video today is to help explain some of that. And what that is basically it's actually a very, very simple thing that I learned a long time ago. I don't know if I learned it in school at one of my job places or what, but they're really 4 steps of learning. Right now, I'm just streaming a little bit of background video that's actually I'm just viewing, kind of learning and watching. But basically, the 4 steps of learning are very, very simple to understand. And the first one, of course, is an unconscious incompetence. And what this means is you are unaware that you're unaware. Basically, you don't know that you don't realize things about the game. You don't know that you don't know how bad you are. And that's a very, very difficult thing, because basically what it really means, especially in League of Legends, it also could imply a willful disregard for basics of the games. For instance, warding, CSing, things like this. Everyone pretty well knows about them, but to realize the effectiveness of them, a lot of people just don't realize it, or they willfully ignore it. Just to use as an example, I was in a game just the other day, and everyone's probably had this happen where, lo and behold, team fight kind of broke out, and they had, I think, 1 or 2 guys that escaped with very, very little health. So what's our team do? They spend the next 5 minutes wandering around our jungle trying to find these 2 guys who are long gone back at their base. And the entire time we could have pushed out a lane. We could have taken a tower. We had the opportunity to. And the truth is, they just were not aware of what they should have been doing at that point in time. So that really kind of covers the unconscious incompetence aspect. The second step of learning is the conscious incompetence. In other words, you are aware that you are unaware. Basically, you know that you don't know. What happens in this step is you begin to recognize the value of improving your skills and knowledge within the game. And of course, as I said, this doesn't just apply to League of Legends, but applies to learning in general. And what this really begins to showcase is that you begin to understand the meaning of the game and the importance of the skills and the knowledge within the game. And what happens is you have got to make a decision. Basically, you have to choose to recognize your weaknesses, or you have to choose to ignore them at that point. And the problem is a lot of people never make this choice. This choice has to be made. And the thing is it will be made either consciously or subconsciously. If you allow it to be subconsciously, what begins to happen is you actually fall into the trap of a, to be honest, I think it's where a lot of your raging comes from. They fall into this trap of thinking that they're doing all right, and they know things that they can improve on, but they willfully disregard them. And that's where you have to make this point, to move out of a conscious incompetence into an actual knowledge and willful knowledge. Basically, to sum this up, you really have got to recognize your own problems, recognize your own weaknesses. And to do so, mine are real simple. My weaknesses are really, really simple. I've got CSing down. I've got warding pretty well, especially when I'm support. I've got warding, and even when I'm jungle, I've got warding down fairly well. But I am really weak at harassing while CSing. I'm really bad at knowing lane matchups and synergies. And the truth is, I just don't know. And more importantly, it's also some of the ones I do know, understanding them. That's kind of my weaknesses. Now, to give you an idea, I happen to have a theory about some of this, and that's very, very simple. I have got a theory that a lot of people who are probably stuck in this quote-unquote ELO hell, I don't think ELO hell exists. And I believe that the reason it does not exist is because when you really get down to it, I believe that the reality is you're where you need and where you belong at for the game and for your skill and for your knowledge level. If you think that you belong better, well, if you really do, you will get there. But the other portion is you've got to recognize your mistakes. Now, myself, I've got a funny feeling a lot of people stuck in gold, or rather in bronze, might be at that unconscious incompetence area. Myself, I'm in stage 2, conscious incompetence. I realize and I know that I don't know these things. So then a decision has to be made whether I want to continue to try to actually learn, or do I just go ahead and say, well, it was just a tough break, it was just a bad game, and I continue to make excuses. So that brings us to step 3, which is a conscious competence. What a conscious competence is really pretty simple. Basically, you have got the skills and the knowledge, but it takes you a lot of effort to fully engage on them. In other words, you're aware of simple things like being able to harass while CSing, but it takes you a lot of effort, and you have got to really be paying attention to actually pull it off. The truth is, how do you learn this? Honestly, experience. Watching how-tos, understanding characters. One of the best things that I've done is I don't just watch one person's how-to on how to play, for instance, Annie. I'll watch multiple ones, and sometimes in different support roles, top lane, mid. I'll watch in different areas to understand more of the aspect of the champion. And Annie's a champion. I'm a very, very good Annie player. And a lot of people will say, well, it's Annie. Well, yeah, it is Annie, but I'm good at her. In addition to that, Lissandra. I'm actually a pretty good Lissandra player. I've even flirted with the idea of actually trying Lissandra's support. There's been a couple videos out there, or guides that I've seen, and I think it's possible that I might be able to pull it off, but I'm not quite that comfortable with her yet. The thing is that a conscious competence, I understand and know things, and I'm getting better, and eventually I will get to level 3 myself of the 4 steps of learning. But the big point and the main thing to take out of this is very simple. Step 3 really comes down to having the skills and knowledge, but it does take you a lot to engage them and use them regularly. And I think a lot of people, whenever you go into League, you cannot play it basically on cruise control mentally. And I think a lot of people don't always realize that. So anyways, once again, how do you gain this experience? How-to's experience. It's about the best way to put it. Step 4 is really, really simple. It's unconscious competence. In other words, it is second nature. You know your champion so well, you know the matchups, you know the different things the opponent is doing against you. You know it so well that you literally don't even have to think about it. I've run into players where I've gone into lane against them and I just get absolutely stomped. And I've thought to myself, and I've realized that that's probably exactly what happened. This player mastered this champion so well that it is in fact second nature to them, and it's automatic. They're barely even putting any thought into it. You know, you see these people quote easy after a game. Well, to be honest, some of them might be serious. Some of them, of course, are going to be trolls. But the reality is that whenever you can get to that point where a lot of your matchups are easy, you're going to begin to sail up the rankings. You're going to go from wherever you're at, and you're going to be able to climb pretty easily. Myself, I got kind of lucky. I actually placed into low silver. The funny thing is, I can't climb out of low silver, but as soon as I get down, I think to silver 5, I jump right back up to silver 4. It's because it's where I belong right now. Of course, I've also only been playing League seriously for maybe 6 months to a year at the most. And it's something that in time I'll become better at. But anyways, I just wanted to throw this video together. It's very, very simple. 4 steps of learning how to become a better League player. And really, to be honest, it's more than just even League. It's more so even about just learning in general. And sometimes whether that be at work, home, school, play, whatever, it's something a lot of people can use. Thank you and have a good one.